This is a Crosman 2100, a combination BB and pellet gun I've had for probably 24 years. I lent it to my brother to do a little pest control around his house, and finally called me up and says, you know, Mark, this doesn't work anymore, it doesn't hold air and so forth. So I thought, well, I'll grab it from you and see what I can do. I went online and found a great YouTube video showing how to disassemble and assemble the Crosman D766, which really is identical rifle to this one. And while I was at it, I had to replace some seals, basically, and I got those on eBay. One was this little air chamber, and basically the rubber seal that went around here had to be replaced. I think there's some other ones you can replace, but that seemed to do it. Plus, the item that pumps up the air is this little rubber item here that gets hard. So I got one of those. And I decided at that time it might be fun to make my own wood stock. So I kind of looked around and I decided, well, I'm just going to go to Home Depot and buy some hardwood. So I found some 1x6 8-foot long maple. So what I did is I basically glued two pieces together to give me that 1.5 inch thickness I needed. And I went from there with, I just basically traced the old plastic stock, plastic forearm, and onto that wood, and then went from there. To do the forearm, I had to drill a 3/4 inch diameter hole through it to kind of give me that curved air that goes around the pump cylinder. And then from there I basically used a table saw to cut out the rest of it. And then also I used a table saw to cut out the little groove in there that takes this metal component that's the arm that's used to pump up the air. From there I used basically a bandsaw to cut out the shape, and I used just a standard table belt sander to really start forming it, and that seemed to work pretty well. And after I get a certain shape, I take an orbital sander to it and just smooth it out. The same thing with stock. The trickiest part was trying to get this to fit right. There's a little groove in here you can see that's around this plastic part, plus you have to drill the hole. And I actually found a little Dremel tool with a little round ball cutting tool that actually worked to cut that little groove out. Another item that I was having a hard time finding was a new butt plate. So I went online first and I just couldn't find anything that seemed to make sense from a price standpoint anyway. So I went to the local gun repair shop, and he had a whole box of used ones, and he said pick anyone out for $5, and the second one I picked up seemed to be fine, so it worked out great. I had to do a little more sanding to fit that shape and went from there. Now, one thing with maple is it does not take stain very well, so I decided to use a dye, a wood dye. It's getting used more and more. I found this wood dye at a wood shop. It's really a water-based dye, and the key to it was they recommended you actually spraying it on and then just wiping it off like you would stain. And you can see it got a nice dark color to it. It's just I think it was a cherry stain. And I put 4 coats of water-based urethane on top of that. And then another issue was that in this old Crosman, you know, they usually put the BBs in here and up through here. And I thought about trying to do something like that, but I realized I really didn't want to cut into this wood, and I'm not sure I would have gotten it just lined up right. So what I did is I actually tapped a new screw hole here. I just took a 1/4 inch by 20 thread tap and tapped a new and just found a little screw I could use to. So now this is where I can load the BBs, and it works pretty well. And so now it holds air, pumps up pretty nice, and it's kind of a unique gun now. You know, again, it's probably spent more money than the gun is worth, but it's still kind of fun doing it. Anyway, so I think I'm going to keep it. I gave my brother another gun to use, so I'm kind of proud of it.